Is it finally time for Game of Thrones to be an animated series? Adapted from George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, HBO's Game of Thrones follows an ensemble cast that ranges from kings to assassins to paupers. After becoming a leading show for HBO, the series was granted a prequel in House of the Dragon. Other Game of Thrones spin-offs are currently in the works. New art put together by AI-generated art on YouTube shows off what Westeros and Essos could look like if the original show were made in the style of an 80s anime. Tyrion, Jon, Daenerys, Cersei, Jaime, Joffrey, and more receive the anime treatment, and the AI appears to have borrowed from both show and book depictions of the characters. Arya, especially, looks much more akin to her 9-year-old book depiction, while Joffrey also looks particularly young in his crown and robes. Game of Thrones set itself apart from other fantasy shows by slowly building on its fantasy elements. Initially, the White Walkers are only teased in small scenes, while the Stark direwolves are mere puppies and act like little more than dogs. By the end of the first season, Bran has magical dreams and a connection to his wolf, while Daenerys is bringing tiny dragons back into the world for just one scene. At the end of the show, there are dragon battles, face-changing assassins, weirwood dreams, and White Walker attacks. It's a slow growth that helps to ground the world in realism. With such limited magic in Season 1 of Game of Thrones, it could afford to skip a few battles and maintain a relatively small budget. Unfortunately, as the show went on, more elements had to be trimmed down. The Faceless Men are relegated to a small force, the direwolves are written out of the show, and Euron has his magical elements stripped. An animated show could avoid all of those problems without greatly ballooning the budget. That could allow for a more faithful adaptation of the books. It also avoids the younger Starks from aging out of their roles, as Isaac Hempstead Wright, Bran Stark, did by the end of the show. HBO is already attempting an animated Game of Thrones spin-off in the Golden Empire, which will follow the city of Yeti in Essos. Should the Golden Empire be a success, it could lead the way to a potential Game of Thrones reboot. That could also allow for a less controversial ending to the beloved series. An animated Game of Thrones could definitely work, as long as it stays faithful to the themes and narrative of the story.